Welcome back to the It's Just Sport podcast, Olympic bonus episode. As you can see, myself and Niamh are decked out in our respective Irish gear because Niamh, we've had some great news in the 4x400 mixed relay event. Do you want to bring us through what happened?
Yeah, I mean, I would say credit to us for a start, for still being awake and sitting up, and the fact that we have our Irish kit on and everything. But yeah, look, as you mentioned, the 4x400 meter mixed relay was literally just on a short time ago. It was a phenomenal race. Killian Green took out the first leg, was really strong. Definitely really pushed in that home straight. He was like, I am getting my team up as in the best position that I possibly can. Handed it over to Phil, again, a strong leg as usual, very talented athlete. And look, this is only the first of 3 events that she's in. She passed it on to Sophie Becker. Sophie put in another great leg, kept Ireland in the race. She said she just really wanted to hold position. It got a little bit shuffly in the last 100 meters, but she did hand over to Chris O'Donnell, who ran an absolute stormer. Pushed on. They had a little bit of a fumble with their changeover now, to be honest. Between Sophie and Chris, but he shot off like a rocket. Really gave it everything around that 400 meter lap. I think maybe if there's a little bit more distance, we might have seen him push up some more, but he came through some athletes at the end to finish in 4th. We were sitting waiting to see if the team was then going to qualify for the final, because it was top 3 were automatic qualification, and we were waiting to see if we'd be one of the fastest teams. It was two of the fastest teams would then qualify for the final. But the US and the Dominican Republic were actually disqualified. So Ireland has qualified in an automatic qualification spot in 2nd position. Not going to lie, the US and the Dominican Republic were quite fast. So it has opened up opportunity to any of the other teams that have qualified. Ireland, the Irish team all ran really quick times. They were amazed at the results that they had already. Killian Green, new personal best. Sophie Becker ran 51.58. Her PB is 51.32. So this is very fast for her. Phil ran 51.41. Her PB is 51.5. So some really good results for them. They took a couple of seconds off the national record, not just a little bit. It was 3 or 4 seconds. They had targeted to run 3:14, but they actually ran 3:12.88. So they were thrilled. And personally, I think there's more there because of that little fumble in the changeover. Also, Sophie had to kind of jump around somebody else, they kind of stepped in her way just as she set off on her leg. So look, it's all to play for. We're going in 6th fastest into it. But look, it's really about competing, tactical racing. It's anything could happen in it, and they're absolutely thrilled to make it to an Olympic final. So congratulations to the team.
Yeah, and I suppose I was super excited to see this because I didn't watch. I only watched highlights of when it was on, so I was watching it live for the first time. And Nigeria decided to be the only different one. They went. What was it? Man. Was it man? Hang on.
They did.
Woman, man.
A man, woman, a man, a woman. Where a lot of the others.
Man, woman.
A lot of the others finished with a man.
Yeah.
So it was interesting, and they did manage to hold them off. But yeah, that's why it's such an interesting race.
Yeah. And I think we were definitely here in the house, we were going crazy for Chris O'Donnell because you could just see that he had that little bit in him, that
he was eating it up
when he was bursting, he was proper bursting, and I think that was really cool to see. I think, as you said, the Sophie to Chris's changeover wasn't the best. I know Team USA got qualified because their changeover was in, it didn't do it in the right space, and I don't know what happened with the Dominicans. It didn't anyways, I didn't see, but yeah, it was unreal to see it. As I said, my first time seeing it mixed. They'll have a tough time. I was watching the second heat. The Polish were definitely incredibly strong.
Yeah, very fast.
They were very good, and I think they're kind of one of the
Poles, the Dutch, the Jamaicans, GB are in there as well. So it's gonna be tough.
The Jamaican really struggled up until the third leg, and then they just kind of took off.
The other thing to remember is the relay team is for you have 4 people running at that event, but you can also trade people out.
Yeah,
so we don't know who.
Jamaican for the B team. Let's call it for Jamaica, for want of a bit of a term.
Yeah, we don't know who's going to show up tomorrow, so things could be totally different. you know, it's hard to know exactly what will happen. But look, that was a highlight of athletics for today. But I think there was a little bit of disappointment for the 800 meter girls, who all seemed disappointed in their performance themselves. But I think they just really have to take from it, like, they qualified for the Olympics. They've had absolutely like seasons that have been on fire. Like, they've been so good. Like, all the girls running the 800 meters, you know, that weren't even competing at the Olympic Games, you know, have had amazing seasons. So look, we'll give mentions obviously to Nadia Power, Louise Shanahan and Siobhan Clark-Butner, who have competed at their first Olympic Games, made their Olympic debut and really did Ireland proud. Nadia was up first. She said it was disappointing. It's not how she wanted to perform. She felt so ready, and she didn't know. She just didn't know why she didn't have it on the day. You know, she like was putting herself in the mix, but she was like, honestly, just like ran out of it. You know, it was a fast first lap. It was 59.9 in her heat. And then the second lap, you know, I think she just like really didn't have it. She looked like she kind of tied up. She did also mention that she had a cold last week. She felt like she was over it, but you know, perhaps her body wasn't you know, back where she thought it might have been. I think Nadia has had an absolutely astonishing year. It's just been fantastic from her. So she needs to kind of hold her head high. She's still a very young athlete, and there's loads more to come from her. Louise Shanahan was up next. You know, I think it was again another good effort. Again, seemed to be run out of it a little bit. A much slower first lap in that race, and it really was about like trying to like put yourself in the position. She really did you know, give it you know, as much as she could, but I just didn't kind of have it in the last 100. And I know Sonia has mentioned, Sonia O'Sullivan, that she thinks that they all need to work on their last 100 meters, because there are athletes there that have savage kicks, and you know, you can't really afford that at something like the Olympic Games. Shanahan reflected. She seemed, initially her interview seemed like she was like disappointed. You know, I think she felt like she could maybe run faster. But she said that she had actually been aiming for Paris 2024, and if somebody had told her you know, that she was going to make her actual, like, her senior debut for Ireland at the Olympic Games, you know, it's something that she's absolutely thrilled with. She said, this year has been a year I could only have dreamed of. Never in a million years that I think that I would get my first senior vest at the Olympics. So she turned it into a positive, and that's the way she should be looking at it, because it was a really good effort. I thought Siobhan Clark-Butner actually ran the best tactical race. You know, I thought she put herself in the right position, and was unfortunate at the 400 meter mark to get a little bit of a trip. I don't know if it was one or two trips, which there's definitely a bit of shuffling. She did have to put her hand on.
Yeah, there was
she to put her hand on someone's back to kind of steady herself. I thought she'd handle it really, really well, because that's like something that's difficult. It can throw people all together. She definitely like stuck at it, really gave it a good go, and was trying to kind of you know, get back into the rhythm. But you do lose momentum. It was two trips in that race, but you know, we've seen her race before where she has ended up in situations where she's been boxed in. I thought it was for me, a bit more of an aggressive run of the three. She looked like she was trying to stay up there in the mix, and was unfortunate to kind of end up in a little bit of a tussle. But look, she'll be delighted again to have made the Olympic Games, and we know that there's much more to come from all of these three athletes, as well as the other athletes that didn't make it, because they're all pushing each other on so much in the 800 meters at the moment. Yeah, I guess that's it on athletics for the moment. Like, the 4x400 meter final will be tomorrow, but we are jumping over to a medal. So Ireland have won their first medal in the women's 4. It was the first medal for Team Ireland of the 2020 Olympics, and it's the first Irish women's crew to medal at an Olympic Games. The 4 of Eimear Lambe, Fiona Murtagh, Emily Hegarty and Aifric Keogh claimed bronze in a really thrilling race. You stayed up to watch it that night?
I did. I actually stayed up for it. I was kind of contemplating it, but then I was like, it's an Olympic final. It's rare enough we get to do these, so I may as well stay up for it. Yeah, no, I was over the moon. I was like whisper, like cheering for them, because they're one of my husband's team. I was like, go. Yeah. But yeah, no, it was really exciting. And I think the best, actually, and something that, you know, obviously you can get into the more tactical bit of the rowing, because I wouldn't necessarily know. But I actually thought what was lovely, obviously due to COVID restrictions, obviously the girls had to present each other with the medals. And I thought it kind of added a better personal touch than some rep from the IOC or whoever it may be. And I thought that was really lovely. And I thought their interview was really good as well.
Yeah, they're delighted.
One of them was like joking. She was like, "Oh, I didn't think we were going to finish there," even though she had the medal around her neck. And a couple of them were, and it was actually lovely to see Claire Lambe in the studio for RT being able to interview her sister. And she got very emotional at one point because I think she was saying that she was really, really proud of her sister. And you could see a little, she got a little bit choked up, which was very, very nice to see. But yeah, no, I was absolutely buzzed for them. The first, obviously, women to win an Olympic medal, which is unreal for them. As you said, the first to kick off Team Ireland's medal table haul. It was funny, we were drawing with Bermuda for a while and now we've leapfrogged them, which is lovely to see. But no, I think it was really, really nice. I flicked, you're going to laugh, I flicked to the BBC coverage for a little bit just to see what they were saying. And they were actually very, very stoked for the Irish girls, despite the fact that GB came forth. But yeah, no, they were
because they were head to head, like they were head to head with them for a while. So you know, look, we've all been excited about this boat for like quite some time. You know, we knew that there was huge talent in there. In the Europeans a couple of months ago, they were just marginally behind the Netherlands. So we knew that they could put it up to them. And then in the heat, they were 0.23 seconds behind Australia. So like we thought there was like a good chance there. Like they're two of the top crews in the world. You know, they did eventually claim gold and silver. So we knew that they had the standard there. But, you know, in terms of the start, I'm not really sure what happened, but most of the crews that went off the start did not seem to go off straight. So there seems to be steering correction straight away because you could see it in the wake. The kind of wake behind the boats was not straight at all, and everybody seemed to be like making corrections. So we were kind of watching like a little bit nervous because Ireland didn't seem to get off to a great start. And they were, you know, they were still in it absolutely. Like they definitely weren't, but it looked like Australia and the Dutch, you know, pushed off a little bit better. Ireland were going toe to toe with GB for quite some time. Like they were really racing it up the course. And you know, then they kind of really came into it in the second K, like in the second half of the final. You know, you weren't sure if they had it. You were like urging them on, and like right into the last 500 meters, like they started to make an impact. They started to pull ahead of GB. The Netherlands and Australia were out of it. Like I do think they have the potential to put it up to the Netherlands and Australia more. But the way that the start went, they didn't have the opportunity to do that, and it really was about getting that bronze medal. So they gave it absolutely everything, and it really was the last kilometer of that race that they managed to turn things around. But look, a really good result. The athletes are absolutely thrilled. You know, you can tell that they all really get on well, have a great relationship, and it's a massive credit to the work that they have done and the team that is behind them as well. We obviously had lots of other action in rowing. So there's been several semi-finals and B-finals and stuff happening as well. You know, I think a crew that really impressed me were the women's lightweight double. You know, we've obviously mentioned that we've spoken to them before, Aoife Casey and Margaret Cremin. They finished fifth in the semi-final, which put them into final B, and then they finished second in final B, which had them 8th overall. So look, for a crew that you know, actually last year, like the reality of it, if it happened in 2020, like they probably wouldn't have been going, and then to finish 8th at the Olympic Games is absolutely phenomenal. They're two really young athletes. I think they've taken everything in their stride. They've had a seemingly pretty relaxed attitude towards it, and I'm just really excited for Paris for them, you know, now that the lightweight double is included. You know, I think they have oodles of talent, and I think, you know, we could see them in a lightweight final in Paris. So really excited for them. Aileen Crowley and Monika Tokarska finished 5th in the pair semi-final as well. They also then progressed to the B final. I think they had a really good campaign. They've been two athletes that have been working really well together. They looked really strong. Their starts have been really strong, and they finished 5th in the B final. You know, which would have them at 11th overall in the competition. In terms of Sanita Puspure, a lot of people were kind of wondering what was going on. You know, she finished 5th in her semi-final, which meant that she progressed to the B final as well. You know, this was a medal hopeful. Obviously, we've spoken about her on numerous occasions, and you know, at the very least, sort of expected to see her in the final. Like, we honestly expected to see her on the podium and really pushing for gold. I'm not sure if I mentioned it on the podcast the last day. I actually did think she looked a little bit uncomfortable in her heat, but it was just an easy heat. So there was no way that she wasn't going to go through, because she has the talent and caliber and experience that some of the athletes that she came up against didn't. The quarterfinal, it was a race.
I'm just kind of interested to hear your opinion on why it went kind of a bit wrong for her. Like, go take us through what happened and tell us.
Yeah. So then, look, she raced Cara Kohler in the quarterfinal. It was a race. You know, Sanita beat her by half a length. She had managed to put some distance on her, and that one seemed to go pretty to plan. Then into the semi-final, she was a little slow off the start. It's not something that actually you would be nervous about, because a lot of the Irish crews do that. Sanita has done that, and she's come through fields before and absolutely obliterated the field and put savage distance into them after coming off a slow start. She was trying to get back into it, you know, was making moves, but the Russian girl and Gamelin of Switzerland, I'm pretty sure she's Swiss, were kind of pushing on. So yeah, look, she was trying to get back into it, and she was trying to make ground on the athlete to her left, and she was just, sorry, it was a Dutch girl. So the Chinese girl was a little bit ahead of the Dutch girl. Sanita was trying to get back up onto the Dutch girl, and she did. Like, she was pushing onto her, but unfortunately the top two in the field were pushing on as well. So like, she was making ground, but like, it just wasn't enough. Like, it was 3 to qualify. The Chinese girl then had distance on the Dutch girl, and she just wasn't coming through. Her efforts just weren't being rewarded. So she actually just pretty much sat in 5th for the whole way down the course. Towards the end, you know, she knew that she was in 5th place, and you could see kind of last like 100 meters, 150 meters, like she knew what the writing was on the wall at that stage. They had detached themselves too much, and there just wasn't enough room. I thought she looked pale in a lot of her interviews, and a little unsettled on the start line. Not the Sanita that we've seen before. There was since news that came out with RTE that said that she actually has been ill for the past few days, and I'm not surprised personally. Devastated for her, because I think Sanita a year ago was in absolutely fantastic shape. As I said, like, she was going through athletes like nobody's business. Like, she was absolutely, you know, really showing her dominance, and I just think it was really unlucky the way that things played out for her. From taking the positives from it, she has been to 2 Olympic Games before. This is her 3rd Olympics. That's an absolutely phenomenal achievement to make 3 Olympic Games. She's had 2 World Championship titles, 2 European Championship titles. Her previous 2 Olympics, she never made it to a semi-final. And as she said in one of her interviews, this is her first Olympic semi-final. So I think, look, she can hold her head up high. She's been a real credit to Rowing Ireland, you know, the Irish team in general. She's really pushed things on. If you look at 2012, she was the only athlete like representing Ireland, and now look at the team that has developed, the team that she's been working with, and she's absolutely inspired loads and loads of other you know, athletes around the country, whether it be in rowing or in other sports. But look, she's also shown that you know, a mom of 39 years old can be really dominant in their sport. And look, it's something she should be proud of. I know she'd be really disappointed initially. It's not the games that she wanted, but there's so much more to her than the performance that she's had, and I think she was just very unlucky.
Yeah, Niamh, totally. As you said, I have to say, like, I was just really curious to hear your opinion, because you are a rower and you're someone who knows the sport. So as an outsider looking in, I suppose all I can probably say is, look, I've interviewed Sanita. I really, really do like the girl. I think she's an absolute hero, and I think inspiration for a lot of people. And I think she was the kind of groundbreaker for rowing. So I think she should be very proud of herself, even though, as you said, she mightn't feel it now. And even though it might feel like the one that got away, I think she should keep her head high, because I think what she has done for the sport within Ireland is big in itself. Over into boxing news. Kellie Harrington eased into the quarterfinals after beating Italy's Rebecca Nicole by unanimous decision. The 5 judges actually scored the fight in favour of Harrington, who is the top seed in the lightweight division, after she beat Mahmoud of France in the World Championships, or the qualifiers even. Harrington, she was very assured and she was very comfortable. She totally dictated it and she picked her punches brilliantly. She was doing a couple of head swings every time Nicole went for her, because Nicole is left-handed. So she was kind of ducking and diving like no man's business. And when Nicole was wide open, Kellie Harrington hit her with a couple of nice shots in between. She handled the pressure very, very well. And you could also tell there's a lot of gears left in her. Like, she barely got out of second gear, in my opinion. Facing Nicole. And, you know, she basically said that if she gets a medal, it will be great. But as long as I give it everything, as long as I step out of the ring, knowing that I have given everything, that I will be happy. She's looking very, very good going into Algeria's Iman Kelfi on Tuesday. And if she wins this, it's a guaranteed medal. But I think this could be one of those nervy fights, you know, in that Iman is a little bit unpredictable and she might be a tougher test than obviously what Nicole is. No disrespect to the Italian whatsoever. So it should be incredible to see, I suppose, what is left in Kellie Harrington, and also what she can bring. I also thought it was incredible in her post-match interview. She immediately commended Brendan Irvine, the other co-captain of the Irish boxing team, and she said that his leadership amongst the crew was incredible despite the fact he left her. And I thought that was the mark of who Kellie Harrington is as a person. She's thinking of other people while she's working through the Olympics.
But I also think she said something really interesting in that interview as well, because, you know, they're saying to her, like, oh, you're in as number one seed, which, you know, takes pressure, and that's what the kind of question was. And she was like, I don't see seeds when we get here. She's like, everyone's done loads of work, you know, to get to this place. And she was, you know, it's anyone's game, and particularly in boxing, like, we've seen it all go wrong before. You know, we've had some fighters so far that have been a bit unlucky. So I think it's a really good attitude to have. It's really grounded, and, you know, she's taking every opponent one by one, not believing that just because she's come in as number one seed that she deserves to be in the final. I think she really understands the game, and really looking forward to seeing her next fight. As I said, I think she handled this morning really, really well.
Yeah, and I think, as you said, Kellie Harrington had watched all the women getting knocked out before her. So obviously she knew that it wasn't going to be a walkthrough. One of those women was Aoife O'Rourke. She was eliminated after losing to Olympic bronze medalist Kian Lee. She I thought she put in a really decent performance. I thought she was okay not to get the second round, because I thought she was on top for the second round. And she brought that back. It could have been any man's kind of situation, but she lost 5-0. Or 5-0 on a unanimous decision. It was obviously, as I mentioned, a little bit closer than that. She was coming forward. She was a bit relentless, and not to sound like I'm decrying or calling for stuff, but Kian Lee was doing a lot of holding, which didn't let Aoife O'Rourke get into her rhythm whatsoever. I think Eric O'Donovan on our RTE even said it. So
there was a lot of comments about that.
Yeah,
there was a lot of comments about that, and like, people were curious as to why there weren't points, because she had taken off her, because there were warnings that went to Kian Lee. So no, like you said, I think it was actually a really, really, really strong performance from Aoife O'Rourke, and she just, as you said, was drawn an opponent that is incredibly talented and a very tough round, which also was the same for Michaela Walsh. You know, she was drawn a tough opponent, and she said that she's one of the best fighters in the competition, and she actually, you know, said that she hopes to see her go all the way. Unlucky for Michaela, but look, plenty to celebrate, as she just witnessed her brother guaranteeing bronze. He is progressing. She is the, you know, biggest supporter. She had said in her interview with us that she is, like, almost more nervous for his fighting than her own, and she'd be absolutely thrilled that he can, you know, carry the torch forward for the family. You know, that now that he's in the bronze medal fight, he is looking to upgrade that to a silver. And you know, look, he fought this morning, like, very, very well. It was very tactical. The other guy barely got anything on him, and you know, it's really exciting. Her sport ambassador Monika Tokarska was there as well as I think some of the other athletes. So it's great to see that they're actually able to go and see some of the other events and support each other. We were up watching the hockey then after that.
I did.
I was up all night, like, literally got up at 2 to watch the women's eights finals in the rowing. Actually, a friend of mine, Charlotte Buck, was the 2 seat in the women's American 8. So was up to watch her, and you know, then see the rest of the Irish action after that. But in terms of the hockey match this morning, it was a last 1-0 Ireland to India. to be honest, we had expected a bit of a stronger performance from Ireland. The game was pushed back an hour. People were saying, was that interfering? I mean, look, it was the same for the Indian team as well, so I don't think that's any kind of excuse. I think they hadn't got the best game. The penalty corners that happened was huge. So many penalty corners, like it was one after the next, and the amount of penalty corners that India conceded was so much fewer. With the penalty corners that was happening, you were just every time like you're nervous, you're like something is going to go in now. And honestly, the defense was phenomenal. Aisha McFerrin, wow, is she some goalkeeper? Like it was down to her and the defending that they managed not to concede more goals, because India were coming at them. They were aggressive from the start, but between the penalty corners that were happening, it really it was a miracle that more didn't go through. They had some good attempts at pushing things forward. People that stood out for me, Nikki Daly, Anna O'Flanagan. I thought they were really good. Nikki Daly had some really good plays, and especially in the second half. Anna O'Flanagan nearly got a goal in. Like she had some good attempts, and I thought she was actually crucial for the entire game in terms of what in terms of what she was doing. And as again I mentioned, Aisha McFerrin and the defending that they did. But I think there was more in them. I expected a draw or a win, but look, what the Indians came out, really looking for it. It'll be, time will tell now, because India are going to face South Africa, and it's likely that they will beat them, and Ireland are going to play GB. Ireland have had several test matches against GB, and more often than not don't come out on top. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. We're wishing them the best. Like, we know that they have it in them. The game is tomorrow at 12:45 p.m. So a time that people can watch.
Normal time.
Can they still qualify? Absolutely. They really do have some great performances sometimes, and sometimes they pull it out of the bag. I think actually one of the things that they could improve on is their
shooting,
kind of control. No, actually, it's the control. Their defense is good, but when they have the ball, there seems to be some like long passes that aren't necessarily going anywhere in particular, or they have a couple of good passes, but they're not holding it tight enough, and they need to bring it up the field a bit more, like with a bit more running, rather than just shooting up and hoping that it's going to get to somebody. I thought Nikki had some good runs and had some good control on it, but there was a little bit lacking from maybe some of the other players. We don't doubt that it's very tough. They're playing a lot of matches back to back. It's very hot, very humid. But look, it's the same for everybody else. But look, we will see. Obviously GB are used to the same type of weather that we are, so maybe it'll be a bit more that it might go in Ireland's favour. But look, we will see what happens there. Annelise Murphy, she had an impressive day yesterday. Really put herself back in contention. She was hoping for more days of weather like that. She finished 30th and 40th in the final two races of the laser radial. She had a tough start to the competition. She fought her way back into contention with first and second place, as I said yesterday. And she was 14 points off the top 10, which would have seen her qualify for her third Olympic final, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. It was very light winds today, which doesn't really suit her. She had a really, really great interview afterwards, so definitely go and check that out. She's very proud of what she's achieved. She's a 3-time Olympian. She finished with a 4th in London, a silver medal in Rio, and unfortunately will not make the medal race this time around. But she looks like she's trying to leave a legacy. She's really supportive of the next athletes that are coming through. She wants to help them. She wants to see them progress. And she said that, to be honest, it's unlikely that she will be seeking to go to a 4th Olympic Games and competing in Paris 2024. She's starting an MBA, so she sounds like she'll be a very busy woman. But look, I think something she should be very proud of. Obviously, all of her achievements to date. She said it wasn't quite like the icing on the cake that she had hoped this third Olympic Games to be. She had expected the wins to be a little bit more in Tokyo, but it didn't pan out the way she expected. But similar to Sanita Puspure, both 3 times Olympians, both 2 athletes that have done so much for their sport, so much for Irish sport, and we are incredibly proud of them. Tell us about the swimming. We have had some excitement there.
Yeah, it's just funny as you were talking, I just threw my eye up to see what was going on in the women's 50 free. It's incredibly fast, obviously, at the moment. But Danielle Hill, she was obviously racing as well this morning. She finished sixth in her 50-meter freestyle. She missed out on the semi-final. Mona was back on the Irish water after delivering a sensational 100-meter breaststroke performance in heats, semi-finals and finals. And she actually broke the Irish record at the 200-meter breaststroke, which was incredible for her. Some Irish pride, just as I'm kind of looking at her there. Siobhan Bernadette Haughey, who everyone might be like, who's this? She's a Hong Kong racer. She is the grad niece of former Taoiseach Charlie Haughey, and her second cousin Sean Haughey would like to announce that he is incredibly proud of his second cousin, who secured silver in the swimming for Hong Kong, which was their first medal at the Olympic races for Hong Kong. So yeah, a bit of kind of mixed bag. I think for the Irish swimmers, for the likes of Ellen Walsh, Danielle Hill, and for Mona, youth is very much on their side. So
Absolutely.
So the experience that they have got from racing at the Olympics will stand to them, obviously, in the future. I think it was in Mona's post-semi-final interview, she had said that how her mind was very, very relaxed, but how when she went near the water for the semi-final, her body started shaking because her body realized it was a semi-final, but her mind didn't. So she had to reel it back in a little bit. But I thought it was really, really honest for her to kind of admit, she looked happy to be there, but also happy to be performing as well, which I thought, was quite good to see. I think Danielle Hill is being interviewed now, and she doesn't look too content, but I think she's someone who we could definitely look out for in the future.
Yeah, no, look, in terms of Danielle's time, it wasn't her quickest time, was a little bit off her personal best, but I think it was a good race. She was second off the blocks, I think. Even though she was second off the blocks, she wasn't necessarily like up at the top of the field by the 25 meters, but I think she had a really strong second 25, really came back at it and gave it a good effort. As you said, the three athletes that you've mentioned, the three female athletes that we had out there this year are all very young athletes. They've gained massive experience. They've shown that Irish swimming is really progressing, really doing very well, and we look forward to seeing them compete in the future. Something also to note is, Danielle, obviously, backcrawl and freestyle are her two priority events. You have Mona swimming breaststroke, and then you have Ellen swimming butterfly. There's been talk of a relay. Obviously there was a lot of looking at relays for this year. But it's really something that could, if they all stick out and continue to improve, and we manage to get a fourth swimmer like Victoria Catterson, swam really well before as well in freestyle. Could we see an Irish relay team in 3 years' time, with as all of those athletes progress, improve, and get a bit more development on their side? But really exciting for Irish swimming, and they should be incredibly proud. In terms of Judo, Megan Fletcher was fighting in the I'm going to start that again just in case. Megan Fletcher was fighting in the 70 kilo category. Her Olympic hopes were dashed in the final few seconds of a bout. She was taken down with just seconds to go, and that flipped the match on his head. Speaking after, she said it might be her last fight for Ireland. She said she thinks it's her last competition in an emotional interview. She said she's very proud of herself. She's had a great career, and it's great for her family. She is there. Another person alongside her brother competing. She did mention previously that she was disappointed not to make Rio when her brother did get to go out and represent Ireland at this stage. So look, she has been in the game for quite some time, and she's taken time away from her career in teaching to focus on judo. I would hope that it's not her last fight, and that we do see her compete again, whether it's on Olympic Games or not, is another thing. It's obviously a difficult thing to take when you maybe expect that you'll go a little bit further and to be knocked out in the first fight. But her dream was to become an Olympian, and she has done that. And like some of the other athletes that we've spoken about today, they can all hold their heads high, knowing that they've represented their country at the top level and really done their country proud. We've had some equestrian as well.
Yeah, it's been a bit crazy. Her name is, what's her name? Heike. I can never pronounce it.
Heike Holstein.
Yeah, I mean, she's been to Mill Street. You think I'd know her at this stage? Yanni, over in equestrian news, Heike Holstein and her homebred mare, Sambuca, produced a solid performance in their Grand Prix test at the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. They landed an incredible score of 68.432% in Group D. It wasn't enough, however, to advance. It was a very difficult pool. She actually finished sixth, but a top two finish was needed to go through. This is Heike's fourth Olympic Games, which is actually incredible when you think about it. She flew the flag, obviously, in Atlanta. She obviously went to Sydney 2000 and then Athens 2004 as well. So yeah, just incredible for the likes of her. She scored really, really well. It was a fun thing to watch when I was looking to bridge the gap, between the next events. And I definitely enjoyed it for sure. And I think being from Mill Street, I've seen her around the place at the event. So it's been pretty exciting for her.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, we'll see Sarah Ennis competing in the team event as well. That'll be on at 2:32 a.m. I am just going to pull up exactly what is on tomorrow. So as we mentioned, Sarah will be competing in the individual and team eventing. We will also have Sarah Lavin in the 100-meter hurdles heat, and we will have Ireland versus Great Britain in Pool A, as we mentioned earlier on, hoping for a win. I would like to give a special mention to some of the other men that have been competing. Obviously, we have her sport ambassadors, Dara Green and Philip Doyle, competing over at the Olympics. Dara was racing in the 100 and 200 meter breaststroke and made an incredible Olympic debut. I think he would have been seeking to make it to a semi-final, but has had some great swims. And look, we know that there's loads more to come from Dara. In terms of Philip was competing in the men's double with Ronan Byrne. I don't think they quite had the campaign that they had expected. And if you want to check out Philip's Instagram, he will give you a few laughs in terms of the Instagrams that he has up. He was looking to Harry Potter for some magic in the next rounds, as they try to progress. But look, they would have been tipped to be a crew to watch out for, in that event. From the start, something just seemed a little bit off. They're not really sure kind of what happened. They had apparently been rowing really, really well, but it just didn't really seem to materialize. They had a really tough heat. It was very fast, and they were just kind of run out of it at the end. In the repechage, they managed to progress through and into the semi-final. They actually switched the boat that they were using between the repechage and the semi-final. That's how confused they were as to why they weren't progressing any faster. They then raced in the B final, which is again not where they would have hoped to be. But look, there's loads more to come from them. They gave it a really good race, I think, actually in the B final. It was fast, it was competitive from everybody that was there, and they know that they're up there with the world's best. I don't think it's a reflection on what they're capable of, and we look forward to seeing Philip and Ronan back racing again. But yeah, sure, go over and check Phil's his Instagram. He'll give you a few laughs anyways. And we're really proud, obviously, to have these two male ambassadors for her sport as well. But look, that kind of wraps it up at the moment. In terms of the Olympic action, there'll be a bit more over the weekend, so definitely check it out. We will touch base with everybody next week and bring you the latest news. But look, we're excited. We have a bronze medal in the bag for the Irish women's 4, and we have some more finalists coming. Other than that, I'm just thinking I'm wearing some nice Queen Bee today. I know there was some good commentary from Breach on the women's 4, actually. She had said that some friends from outside of Ireland were trying to watch it and couldn't get the race. So she she was recording it for people and shared it on her story. And we are excited, obviously, the Her Sport Sports Bras by Queen Bee will be coming very shortly. We are trying out some nice kits. So we're really excited to do this collaboration, and we know that she and the Queen Bee team are as excited as we are for all of the Olympic action. As she said on one of the takeover or one of her Instagram stories, we are two organizations that the sole reason for our founding was for women in sports. So we're really proud to be collaborating together, and definitely keep an eye out for some more Queen Bee kit, because we will be sharing that with our audience very soon.
Yes,
you're a big fan too, as we know.
Huge fan. I'm always joking with the girls. I'm dying to change up their their website for them by putting in like random words, which I definitely shouldn't be sharing on this podcast. So off the air. Yeah, no, for sure. As Niamh said, Her Sport by Queen Bee Raz will be available soon. And if you want to catch up on all the latest news in terms of the Olympics, the schedules that Her Sport put up have been flooding our family group chat in terms of what we need to do. So if you need
Unreal, delighted.
You need to check them out. Feel free to check them out on Twitter and Instagram at hersport.ie, and the same on Instagram. And if you want to see some of my crazy commentary, according to Brianna Parkins of Virgin Media TV, my commentary is a public service, which I didn't think I would ever be commented on ever before, because I just
amazing
myself. So if you want to check some of that out, at JoannaWar_OX on Twitter and at JoannaWar on Instagram. On Instagram, I'm literally just giving shout out to all the athletes and tagging up their followers.
Well, like random aside, I've been like tweeting some like random stuff. Something that really impressed me this morning was the women's 100 meters. Like, it is on fire. Like, I know Sha'Carri Richardson is not there, but Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price, there's another Jamaican girl, Elaine Thompson, I can't remember the second part of her name, and also there's another few athletes that are there. They're sub 11 already, and these are only the heats, so it's going to be really exciting. We can't wait for the 200 meters as well, because some of the same athletes will be in action. Dina Asher-Smith was also in action in the 100, not quite as quick, but she'll be racing the 200 meters as well. What else is standing out? Looking forward to obviously modern pentathlon and stuff will be coming next week. Heptathlon will be an exciting one, in terms of athletics in general. The 10K heats were this morning.
They were tiring.
Yeah, Hassan just sat at the back. She was content. She obviously believes absolutely in herself, and she came through and won it. Like, she just sat there. Like, she went off so slow at the start, and she just picked through everybody and did what she had to do. We will see her in action in the 1500 meters as well. As we mentioned, one to watch. The Dutch in general, I think, are phenomenal. Can't wait to see Femke Ball in the 400 meter hurdles. Lika Klaver was in that 4x400 meter relay. I think she'll be in action again also. So just some people to watch out for. Like, it's really impressive stuff that's going on at the moment. I think the athletics is really just kicking off. And we have loads more Irish athletes in action over the next few days. We will be hoping to see some more semi-finals and finals. I think there's some athletes that really have potential. Ones to watch that I would personally think are Ciara McGeehan and Phil Healy. Like, they have the experience, they have the talent. And it's just a matter of making it through round by round. But look, as we know, it's not easy to make it through those championship rounds, and I think that's what Sonia O'Sullivan was also saying this morning in terms of 800 meters. Like, the girls have been put under pressure in terms of the time trials, and we know that they have fast times, but it really is about putting yourself in the right position and getting yourself through to the next round. It's well and good maybe being able to run a time like 2 minutes or 2:01 in 800 meters, but if it's a matter of running a 2:03 or a 2:04 to get yourself into the position to get into the semi-final, like, that's something that has to be done. But again, really proud of the girls on their performances. They should be delighted with themselves as well. But look, loads and loads more action to come. Give us the 2 highlights that you're looking forward to seeing over the next week.
Next week, I'm really looking forward to, I'm going to go obscure because I think you covered the mainstream ones very well. I'm really looking forward to watching sport climbing because I think that's going to be crazy. It's literally going to be Spider-Man up against Spider-Man, or Spider-Woman against Spider-Woman. And also, I am very looking forward to modern pentathlon, as you have said. Mm-hmm. And absolutely. I'm also very much looking forward to the park skateboarding, where we will see Team GB's Sky Brown. If you don't remember, Sky Brown is 13 years of age. Last year, she fell off her skateboard, fractured her skull, lacerated her lung, and nearly her heart. And she is back on the skateboard at the grand old age of 13. So they're the 2 obscure ones I feel you should look out for as well.
Absolutely. We will check in with some of the action next week and let us know what you've been watching, what else we should look out for. But other than that, I hope everybody is having naps during the day if they are up during the night, because that is certainly what I will be doing for the afternoon. But thanks to everybody for tuning in, and we look forward to reporting some more next week.
Enjoy your nap.